I don't like these cheap shots, though. She got gouged in the eye. Cheap shots can't be happening, and it always happens.
No.
Caitlin is certainly going to be a storyline. She's a star. She's a dog. And WNBA seemingly on the rise. I'm happy she's got Sophie on the team.
Yep.
She needed that.
She got clawed in the eye, then slammed to the ground like it was the NFL, not the WNBA. And while the league stayed silent, Pat McAfee didn't.
Marina Mabrey, who knocked Caitlin Clark down. Definitely the W, especially if Sophie Cunningham is going to continue to fight people for messing with Caitlin Clark, because it feels like Caitlin Clark is going to get treated in a certain way in this league for a long time. She's not a rookie anymore. I'm happy she's got Sophie on the team.
Yep.
She needed that.
The moment Marina Mabrey tried to blindside Caitlin Clark, McAfee lit her up on live TV, calling out the cheap shots, the fake toughness, and the league's failure to protect its biggest star. But he didn't stop there.
Caitlin Clark was just assaulted bad. This is the worst one ever, bro. She was literally poked in the eye, then pushed to the ground by Marina Mabrey.
He turned the spotlight on Sophie Cunningham, the one player who stood up and fought back. In a league full of silence, McAfee made one thing clear. If you come for Caitlin Clark, you're going to answer to Sophie.
The Fever and the Connecticut Sun got into it a little bit last night. Obviously, it all started with an eye gouge into a knockdown from J.C. Sheldon.
Caitlin is up there with the MVP, probably with Big Feast out in Minnesota.
I don't like these cheap shots, though. She got gouged in the eye.
Yeah, big time.
Gouged in the eye.
It was an intentional eye gouge.
And now, the whole league is on notice. It all started with a moment that should have never happened. Caitlin Clark was dribbling up the court, locked in and focused, when J.C. Sheldon swiped her straight across the face. Not for the ball, but directly in the eye.
Mind you, J.C. Sheldon has been hitting Caitlin in the face all game, fouling all game. The refs don't care. The refs act like their whistles are broke. She's fouling her nonstop again, hits her in the face.
Clark staggered, grabbed her face, clearly in pain. But before she could even recover, Marina Mabrey came charging in like a linebacker on a blitz. Full speed, hip first, boom. Caitlin hit the floor hard. The crowd gasped.
Marina Mabrey, who knocks her down.
Mabrey just goes and shoves her onto the ground.
Marina Mabrey, this is ridiculous.
The cameras caught it all. And still, the referees stood frozen. Pat McAfee wasn't having it. Live on air, he let it rip. That's not defense. That's a cheap shot.
I don't like these cheap shots, though. She got gouged in the eye.
Marina Mabrey basically just did what Kennedy Carter did on a whole nother level.
He shouted, reacting in real time to the fan cam footage. You claw her in the eye and then slam her to the floor? That's not tough. That's trash. He didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't hold back. Because what everyone saw was obvious. Clark wasn't being defended. She was being targeted.
If J.C. Sheldon intentionally scratches somebody in the eye, there's no question about that. That is intentional. If you want to call Mabrey's a flagrant one, call it a flagrant one. Mabrey's should have been a flagrant two. But J.C. Sheldon's is, no question about it, ejection and suspension.
The league's response? A couple of technical fouls and a flagrant one. No ejections, no consequences. And somehow, Caitlin Clark, the one who got assaulted, was hit with a technical too.
Caitlin Clark, Marina Mabrey, Tina Charles were assessed with technical fouls on Tuesday. Caitlin, Marina, and Tina Charles. Technical fouls. That's it. Technical fouls. That's it. And J.C. Sheldon was assessed with a flagrant 1 foul, and no players were ejected.
That's when the floodgates opened. Fans were outraged. Analysts couldn't believe it. And McAfee, he called it exactly what it was. A joke.
She's the one.
Yeah.
She is everything. She'll get after the refs. She'll get into some scraps. And immediately afterwards, she said, I'm here to talk about basketball. I mean, she's a needle mover.
He pointed out what so many have been afraid to say. Caitlin Clark has been taking hits like this since day one. Game after game, elbows, shoves, late fouls, and cheap shots have followed her up and down the court.
So many of these incidents are happening towards Indiana Fever players, particularly Caitlin Clark.
And while the refs keep swallowing their whistles, the league just keeps cashing in on her stardom without protecting her. But this time, things were different because someone finally had Clark's back.
I'm happy she's got Sophie on the team.
Yep.
She needed that.
Sophie Cunningham gives a take foul, a very hard one. She straight up tackled J.C. Sheldon.
Sophie Cunningham had enough. Oh, yeah. Sophie Cunningham had enough. Folks, shout out to Sophie Cunningham. We wanted somebody like this that said, I'm tired of this. I'm trying to step up. It's time to step up. We're not going to get punked anymore. We're not going to get pushed around anymore. We're not going to get treated like a little sister anymore, like a little brother anymore. We are going to start being the ones that say, you know what? We're not going to start the fight.
And Pat McAfee made sure the whole country knew it. While the referees ignored the chaos, while the league issued weak technicals and the cameras replayed the hits, one moment changed everything. Not from Caitlin Clark, but from Sophie Cunningham.
She's got an enforcer on the team now, and a black belt having Sophie Cunningham.
For months, fans and analysts had been pleading for someone to step up, someone to stop the nonsense, because it was always the same. Clark gets targeted, Clark gets hit, and Clark gets left alone. But this time, when Marina Mabrey and JC Sheldon tried to bulldoze Caitlin out of the game, Sophie wasn't just watching, she was waiting.
JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face. There's one. Going for the ball, swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin's gonna have to start wearing goggles. And then Caitlin pushes her off of her, like, why are you still in my face? Marina Mabrey, bat out of hell, chucks Caitlin Clark to the ground.
The moment JC Sheldon once again lunged at Clark, Sophie stepped in like a brick wall. She didn't ask the refs for help. She didn't wait for someone else to handle it. She wrapped Sheldon up mid-drive and sent her crashing to the floor. It was deliberate. It was strong.
I'm happy she's got Sophie on the team.
Yep.
She needed that.
Yeah. Slam her to the floor. Slam her through the floor. Y'all want to play dirty? Sophie gonna hold it down.
I'm clapping Sophie Cunningham off the floor. We're clapping Sophie Cunningham off the floor right now. We're clapping her off the floor. She's getting high-fived off the floor right now.
Sophie Cunningham gives a take foul, a very hard one. She straight up tackled JC Sheldon.
Sophie tries to wrap her up, and Sheldon gets to the floor, and all hell breaks loose.
And it was absolutely necessary. The crowd erupted. The benches stirred. And in that one instant, Sophie Cunningham became more than just a teammate. She became the enforcer Clark had needed all along. Pat McAfee loved it. On his show, he said it best. You poke her in the eye, you shove her to the floor, boom.
The Fever know that they're targets.
Yeah.
Caitlin understands it at this point. And I love that she is yet to waver. It's just like, we're singular focus of next game, I'm getting better.
I'll take the foul and you'll eat the deck. And that's exactly what Sophie did. She made it crystal clear. If you touch Caitlin, you deal with me. McAfee called Sophie the kind of player every star needs, comparing her to Udonis Haslem, Dennis Rodman, even James Johnson. Not because she scores 30 a night, but because she sets the tone.
Fever team's filled with stars.
Oh, yeah.
She makes sure the bullies think twice. And this wasn't just some random act of aggression. This was strategic. According to McAfee, Sophie was a black belt by the age of 6. She knows how to control chaos. She didn't throw punches. She didn't start a brawl. She held her ground, barked back at the Sun players, and made her presence known.
Double team, step back, sideways.
Fuck yeah.
How you doing? Keep it moving. Then how about her to the bench afterwards with a?
You like that?
Yeah, it was a. You like that, but that last one right here, this is a.
Shoot.
She punches herself, and she basically says, like, yelling in the face, like, "Fuck with me," basically. It was awesome.
2 players got in her face, and she didn't move an inch. Not out of anger, out of loyalty. That's what makes it different this time. This isn't about cheap retaliation. It's about drawing the line. The Indiana Fever are no longer going to be the team that gets punked without a response. Sophie's hit wasn't just for Caitlin. It was a message to every team in the league.
That's about star power, narrative, and likability.
If you come for 22, you're coming through me. Pat McAfee didn't just highlight the moment, he celebrated it. He praised Sophie for doing what the league refused to do, protect its star. And in doing so, she didn't just fire up the crowd, she fired up Clark.
She's one. She's a needle mover.
Caitlin is the one.
No comparison to Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is the most must-watch basketball player in world basketball right now. There's nobody that does what Caitlin Clark does.
She's the biggest basketball star in the world.
How special and rare Caitlin Clark is.
Caitlin Clark, because obviously she's a scorer, she can shoot from anywhere, but her passes, like, it's something very different as well. Like if you're playing with a Joker, LeBron, Luka, those stuff, like you gotta catch and finish. I mean, that's 4 or 5 more assists, obviously 10, 12, however many more points.
Because what happened next proved Sophie's hit wasn't just physical, it was transformational. The Indiana Fever finally had an edge. The players rallied. The bench got loud. And Caitlin? She came alive. Not with anger, but with purpose. Because now she knew. She wasn't alone anymore. With the crowd still buzzing from Sophie's statement foul and the tension at an all-time high, Caitlin Clark stepped back onto the court like a different player.
This is Caitlin Clark. She's going to hit a big three, and you can tell the emotions are high. The Indiana Fever announcers, I will give them credit. That incident with Sophie Cunningham is a direct byproduct of the fact that situation earlier was not handled correctly. It goes to talking shit towards the Connecticut Sun bench. That was a clear message from CC22 right there. This team's had enough.
She wasn't rattled. She wasn't shaken. She was unleashed. The very next possession, Clark took the ball, ignored the noise, and pulled up from deep, logo deep. The ball soared, the crowd held its breath, and then, bang.
Double team, step back, sideways. How you doing? Keep it moving. Then how about her to the bench afterwards with a?
You like that?
Yeah, it was a. You like that, but that last one right here, this is a. Oh, she punches herself, and she basically says, like, yelling in the face, like, "Fuck with me," basically. It was awesome.
Nothing but net. She didn't celebrate with a grin. She didn't even crack a smile. Instead, she turned directly to the Connecticut Sun bench, her eyes locked in, her chest thumping, and she screamed with fire. You like that? That wasn't just a shot, it was a warning. Pat McAfee couldn't get enough of it. On his show, he replayed the moment with full-blown hype, saying Caitlin wasn't just a scorer, she was a silent assassin with a flamethrower.
Clark scored 32, dished out 9 assists to become the first player in WNBA history to have 100 points, 30 rebounds, 30 assists in a player's first 5 games of a season.
She didn't back down. She responded the only way a star should, with buckets, with swagger, and with an attitude the league couldn't ignore. McAfee called her cutthroat, a killer, someone who thrives under pressure, not crumbles beneath it. She had every reason to fold after getting gouged in the eye and slammed to the floor. But instead, she rose up and turned the game into her personal stage.
I said earlier, Caitlin should just literally go overseas. There's a couple places overseas where they would pay her probably $2 or $3 million, maybe $5 million a year.
And here's the part that matters most. For the first time, Caitlin wasn't doing it all alone. Sophie had her back. Her teammates rallied. The crowd fed off the energy, and Caitlin fed them right back. Another 3, another assist, a rebound in traffic. She was everywhere, commanding the floor, draining shots, and reminding everyone why she's the face of the league.
Look at Sophie. She's waiting for it. She's waiting for it, fam. And then I see why Allen got kicked out. Allen went for the throw.
McAfee wasn't the only one celebrating it. Social media exploded. Clips of the foul, the hit, and Clark's immediate response were everywhere. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. Commenters weren't just praising her toughness. They were calling out the league for its failure to protect her and lifting up Sophie as the new sheriff in town.
Sophie Cunningham. J.C. Sheldon going up for a layup, puts her head down like a running back, exploding through the hole. Sophie Cunningham wraps her up, tosses her little ass to the ground, says, "What's good?" And then Lindsay Allen goes after her along with J.C. Sheldon and Sophie Cunningham. Look at Sophie Cunningham taking it 2-on-1. Sophie Cunningham going 2-on-1 underneath the basket. Sophie Cunningham, salute.
The message was loud. Caitlin Clark has backup now, and she's even more dangerous because of it. And the shift wasn't just emotional, it was cultural. This was the moment the Indiana Fever stopped being a young, developing team and started becoming a squad that refused to be pushed around.
It is undeniable that Caitlin Clark is the engine.
Caitlin Clark effect. There has been so much of an influx in attendance, in jersey sales, and viewership, all the things.
That's about star power, narrative, and likability.
Caitlin Clark comes into the WNBA. goes through college. She has panache. She has style.
She's my role model. I really look up to her.
Why do you like Caitlin?
She's so good at basketball.
The jerseys, the number 22, the various styles, whether it's a T-shirt with 22, whether it's an Iowa jersey, whether it's a Fever jersey, a throwback, I mean, whatever. The amount of people in yellow 22 apparel is stunning.
Sophie drew the line. Caitlin crossed it with a flame in her eyes. And now everyone watching knew the truth. If you come at Caitlin Clark, you better be ready to deal with war. This wasn't just basketball. This was payback with purpose. Pat McAfee said it best. Caitlin Clark isn't just a star, she's the one. And now with Sophie Cunningham standing beside her, the WNBA script has officially flipped.
She looks like a varsity player going against JV. She had 5 rebounds in 19 seconds.
Yeah, right.
5 rebounds in 19 seconds. I know everybody's saying, like, you shouldn't be able to do that, you're whatever the case. But imagine if she starts putting those in. I mean, that's going to be, she's potentially getting 40-40. Caitlin Clark is the needle mover.
No more cheap shots without consequences. No more silence after blatant hits. This league's most valuable player finally has protection, and the whole world is watching. Marina Mabrey thought she could shove Clark and move on.
Marina Mabrey body checking Caitlin Clark to the ground. JC Sheldon all over her, riding her. Pokes Caitlin Clark in the eye.
She forgot Sophie was watching. The refs might stay quiet. The league might drag its feet. But from here on out, if you come for Caitlin, you deal with both of them. This isn't just fire, it's a movement, and it's just getting started.
There wasn't an explanation for the tech that she got. You know, I think it was pretty obvious that stuff was brewing, right? When the officials don't get control of the ball game, when they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game, it's been happening all season long. This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete. And they're going to have their teammates' backs. It's exactly what you expect, right? Out of fierce competitions.
Payback for what was happening the entire game. But she did it in a way that she wasn't going to injure JC. She was just making it known, like, if the refs aren't going to handle it, I will handle it.
So if not for nothing, like, she ended up with 20 points. She had a really good game. But you know what? I credit JC Sheldon for showing how to guard her.
Shout out to you for holding it down. Shout out to Sophie Cunningham. We need to be showering her with praise. Hit her on all her social medias. Tell her how much we love her.
Sophie, I think she was waiting on her, man. I think she wanted a piece of her so she can calm her down, man. And honestly, holding her there, just, hey, what you gonna do, man?
I'm clapping Sophie Cunningham off the floor.
WNBA rumors suggest Caitlin Clark will be among the first stars making $1 million annually. The most notable of which is, y'all already know who, the needle mover, Caitlin Clark.
So in 2024, she averaged 16.5 points per game, 4 assists, 5.5 rebounds. She shot 37% from the field and 31.8% from 3. Now, if you look at her preseason in 2025, she only played 2 games in this preseason, and one was against that Brazilian national team. She played 21 minutes. She averaged 14.5 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. She shot 52.5% from the field and 50% from 3-point range.